Okay, so before we get into some of the troubleshooting, I just want to go through the packaging of the Av-Mixx product line. As you can see, it has a lockout which coincides with the shroud of the dispenser. That makes it proprietary to you. Also, you can notice we have our no chemical contact insert or straw, however you want to refer to it. You'll see there are two holes, one in the center that controls the low flow or spray bottles. The outside one is for mop buckets, and that's a high flow. The reason I point that out is because that's where your tips are. Thus, if you had in the old days, if you had the chance of tips plugging, we eliminated that because every time we replace the bottle, we get new tips. The other great thing about this product is, with the product line, if your customer has specific challenges, you can easily drop off a product for them to try without having to do any major rework on the install. Thus, it's going to be a great opportunity to upsell products and also help your customer out in their certain cleaning needs. When we go to the dispenser, let's make sure we train our operators to use the product release and insert bottle and remove. We don't want to encourage, and we basically want to discourage our users to leave the product in. We don't want them to leave the product in the dispenser. We want them to have it in a nice rack or so on and so forth, because when they leave the product in the dispenser, what they'll do is run the risk of exposing this seal to chemical degradation. Now, when we're going to troubleshoot, what I tend to like to do is we start from the source. The source is our water inlet, so we want to make sure we have water coming in, and we want to make sure it's over 20 psi and at the flow rates we require. 1 gallon per minute flow rate for the spray bottle, 3.5 gallon per minute flow rate for the mop bucket. The unit will self-regulate if the pressure is too high, but if we have too low a flow, then it's going to create a challenge. But we're going to look at ways to deal with that. Make sure we have it coming in. At our water inlet, we have a screen like you'll find in a garden hose. Sometimes that gets plugged. So if you're having challenges with dilution, check that. Next you want to do is check for vacuum. So how we're going to check for vacuum? We're going to turn the unit on. So I've got my water on. Yep. I make sure, see, have my water on. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to go up under the dispenser and feel over the middle hole, and you can see the effect it has on the water. That tells me I have vacuum. If you can see here, the middle hole, all I did whilst I was pushing the button was putting my finger on and off that little hole in the center of the black seal. I can feel for vacuum on both sides. So what that tells me is the unit is functioning correctly. Where would I go next? Is to this seal. If this seal is not making a good contact with the bottle, I would replace the seal. And there, that should solve all of your problems. So if we've determined that we're not getting good contact, and that might be slight bit of air going into the lines, you can see some foaming, or you're just not getting the concentration or the draw on product. And as I engage, I would push up. And if I pushed up and noticed it actually made an impact on my dilution, then I would replace the seal. And if you look on the website, there's a small video showing you how to replace the seal. Also, we can replace this O-ring or elastic ring, and that helps support the teeth that hold the bottle in place. Those are the main things. Now, if you have high usage and using multiple products, and if the customer typically is not following your instructions and leaving the product in, I would probably look at replacing the seal between 6 to 8 months. Maybe you may stretch it for a year, but if that's the case, I would look at it for 6 months, because you don't want to compromise product performance. And there's your main contact point. Quite simple. You'll see the video of how to replace the seal. It is quite simple. I can show you briefly. If we look at the back of the unit, we can pull down, we can pull off our pickup tubes. remembering, and then I'm going to push, so I can push that seal out with my fingers.